Evening and welcome to Speedway Town Council meeting. I call our February 11, 2019 meeting to order at 7 p.m. My name is Eileen Fisher. I'm Speedway Town President for 2019. In attendance this evening from my far right to left is Councilor David Lindsay.
Good evening.
I have Vice President Jeff Matthews.
Good evening.
To my left I have Councilor Jason Delisle.
Good evening.
Councilor Gary Rakes.
Good evening.
Town Manager Jacob Bladesdell.
Good evening.
Town Clerk Monty Combs.
Good evening.
And our Town Attorney Bob Clare.
Howdy do.
First on the agenda this evening is the pledge. If everyone would please stand at this time. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next are the minutes for approval for our Town Council meeting, January 14, 2019. Those minutes have been posted. Any changes? Seeing none, those minutes have been approved. We have a request for a road closure on May 14th for a taco run.
Now I'm hungry.
Same here. Good evening. My name is Lee O'Connor with Racemaker Productions. We're here for Taco Run and items 3 and 4, two races that we do annually here in Speedway. Taco Run slated for Tuesday, May 14th. We work with Captain Deerdorf with the police, and I don't think it's just officer, but Sam as well this year. He's worked with us each year. But Lieutenant, thank you. Lieutenant Sam, don't know his last name either, that's terrible. Anyways, we hire the traffic team for that race. It takes place over at Daredevil Brewery. Basically do a long lane closure on Gilman between Main Street and Daredevil parking lot. Starts at 3 o'clock and goes till the end of the night around 10 p.m. when we're torn down. The race actually starts at 7 p.m. with a rolling closure, so it's Gilman to Allison Way to 10th Street, to Lyndhurst, to Speedway Avenue, to Allison Avenue, and back out to the trail along Crawfordsville, and then down Main Street. Officers are really familiar with that. I think we do 13 officers, and then quite a few volunteers and stuff to man spots where we have the right-of-way already, but just to help keep cars under control and know what's going on. Last year was the first year for it. We sold it out at $650. We expect about 1,000 or more this year. We partner with Tacos and Tequila. Last year they were our sole source for tacos. We're going to have a meeting to see if we can handle that or what we need to do, but we'll definitely have them as a part of the event. Obviously, Daredevil's a big part of the event. Fast Track, so we use a lot of Speedway businesses. And then we also do a donation. Last year was to the Speedway Trails, and we haven't dialed in the exact charity sponsor this year, but it'll be somebody based here in Speedway. And that event is owned by Racemaker Productions, which is our company. Do you want me to roll into the second one, or do you want to go?
Stay right here for a second.
All right, cool. Yeah, go for it.
You need a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the road closure for May 14th for Taco Run. One, because I like the event, and two,
Yeah.
because it means spring's coming.
Exactly. It's a fun time to be in Speedway, and it's warm and nice. So.
You had an eating contest last year.
Yeah. Yes.
We need a second.
Need a second.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so I have a first and a second for the road closure for May 14th for the Taco Run. Any questions from the public? Any questions from councilors?
I do.
Yeah.
May 14th is a Tuesday.
That's
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure that.
Yeah, and the theme is Taco Tuesday. So
Love the tie-in.
last year was Make Tuesdays Great Again. Obviously, a little play off politics, but it's always fun, this Taco Tuesday theme. We do some small taco events leading up to it, just getting people to Tacos and Tequila and into town. And there's not a lot of competition on Tuesday night for a 5K either. So it's a good time to get people together.
And then a couple of questions on Gilman. It's a full closure on Gilman, correct?
So Gilman will be, this year we are doing a full closure from the parking lot to Main Street. And I've got the contacts for Delara just to make sure that, especially as it approaches, that we can get any deliveries or anything that they need off of their south entrances to their building. Last year we had their two-seater out there that started the race, which was really cool, and they're involved in the event, so we're definitely communicate and work with them. And then also I know Junko Racing, OHR, Omar, they're right there as well. So everything going east and then south is open until 5 minutes before the race starts, and then it'll be a rolling closure, so it'll close for your half mile basically when you get to 10th Street. So it's less than 10 minutes that it'll be a full closure there.
Okay.
Council, I would just, I don't have a question as much as just input. Last year for their events, I actually hung out at 15th and Lyndhurst, and it was a very safe environment where there were walkers and runners, and there's a lot of enthusiasm for the event. A lot of people from Speedway in addition to people that came to Speedway.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
I don't believe we have a second yet.
No, we did.
We do?
Yeah, Jacob did, or Jason. Any other questions? Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of the road closure for May 14th, Tuesday for Taco Run, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved, 5-0.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, your next one?
As Jacob started to mention too, we also have an eating contest at the end of the race. So if any of you guys would like to participate, last year the fire department, no, the police.
Oh, yeah.
Was it
Good
Trent?
luck beating
Yeah,
Jeremy.
Jeremy. Jeremy won last year. He beat the fire department, was there. Public Works was represented there. So we work with Connie and the chamber, and we get a lot of local celebrities to come out and battle it out. So and it's not as many tacos as you can eat. It's a time. So eat 6 tacos as fast as you can is the way that we do it. So anyways, you guys are more than welcome. Jacob, maybe this year you can come out.
I think it'd be best done by a counselor, actually. That kind of thing.
keeping the family.
All right, so moving on, hops and flip-flops, 5K, just a little prelude. There's a slight chance that this name could change. We typically do this race in conjunction with Hops and Flip-Flops Festival, and Daredevil is not doing that festival this year. And so this event is owned by the Speedway Running Club, which is a branch of the chamber. The proceeds for this event can go to the trails organization, the Speedway Trails. My company's actually hired just to manage the race and do all the logistics and set up and tear down all that fun stuff. And so that's why I'm here today. So there may be a name change. I'm not at liberty to discuss any further on that yet, but we'll let you guys know as soon as it does. Everything else is the same. It's on August 17th, Saturday morning, starts at 9 a.m. Our crew arrive about 4 a.m. And it's the exact same route to the T. So we're around 4 a.m. We'll go ahead and close Gilman right between the parking lot and Main Street just to start setup. At 7:50, we'll start the rolling closure with Gilman to Allison Way. The race starts, or no, 8:50, sorry. The race actually starts at 9 a.m. and we'll roll through. The course is back open to the public by 10:15 at the absolute latest. And again, it's rolling closure, so as the course clears at a section, we pick it up and keep on moving. Captain Deerdorf and his crew is on for doing traffic again. I'm not sure if I missed anything else. That's about it for that race. I think last year there were around 300 athletes, and this is the first year that they have a full committee that's organized. We've already met, I think, 3 times between December and now, and so they're really excited to amp that race up and raise some more funds for the trails and do some cool stuff. So.
Motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Hops and Flip Flops 5K on August 17th.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second for road closure for August 17th for Hops and Flip Flops 5K. Any questions from public? Questions from counselors?
Are the officers on this, are they hired on a part duty as
Yeah,
well?
they are hired. The chamber, I think, is the one that cuts that, the running club funds. They cut the check, but they are hired. Again, it's 13 officers, pretty much exact same setup as Taco Run.
Lee, why, appreciate your success. Why do you think you have success in the growing success here in Speedway?
Speedway's awesome. I'm a West Side indie boy from Ben Davis, but I think obviously with Main Street, with Daredevil's one of our annual partners, so this is the second year that we've worked with them, like Racemaker Productions and them, as well as Fast Track. But there's just a lot going on. Obviously, as you guys know, a lot of young families. The trails are phenomenal, and so I'm right in Wayne Township, where we're really eager to get the trails connected to you guys and to Brownsburg. But you guys having the young trails has the young families here. People want to come here and hang out. They're excited about the breweries. They're excited about everything going on Main Street and Speedway. So I'm excited to see people, and it's, as Jacob mentioned, it's a great mix too of locals. So it's not just, I think the running club's around 150 members now, which isn't all from Speedway, but they're definitely majorly west side of Indianapolis. And so it's fun to build the race. It's fun to have the sort of thing that we've seen happen up north, happen on the west side of Indy, and Speedway's a huge part of that. And Taco Run Indy, I mean, it's a big play on with the track, with the race going on. I mean, we incorporate a lot of stuff, and it's a neat race. So,
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of road closure for August 17th for hops and flip-flops, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved 5-0.
thanks for your guys' time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next is Resolution 2019-2. This is a declaration of official intent to reimburse on expenditures. Jacob?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. So as we move forward on renovations and making plans for new town hall at 5300 Crawfordsville Road, we expect that we will be expending funds to do that with various services and meeting various needs. Some of those funds will be, some of the expenses will be reimbursable under the bond documents. However, that will not occur until much later in the year, if that's the direction we go. So by passing this resolution, we allow ourselves the opportunity to reimburse ourselves those expenses after we've spent them during the year. As you can imagine, some folks will do work and will want to get paid when they do the work, not several months later. So this allows us to pay them and then reimburse ourselves from proceeds from the bond.
Make a motion that we pass Resolution 2019-02.
Second.
I have a first and a second for Resolution 2019-2. This time we'll take any questions from public. Seeing none, any questions from the counselors? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2019-2, which is a declaration of official intent to reimburse expenditure, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, approved 5-0. Next is the approval of an agreement for the architectural services with Schmitz Associates, Inc.
Thank you, Madam President. This is just, as it says, the contract with the architects that we have selected to work with on this renovation project. We had an open process, had several, 6 or 7 firms apply. We narrowed that down through the process and interviewed 3 of them and selected Schmidt. We have started working with them, but they do, of course, like to work under having an actual contract approved. So that is the process that we're doing here tonight, and would appreciate your approval.
President Fisher, I move that we approve the agreement with, for architectural services with Schmidt and Associates Incorporated as presented by our town manager.
Second.
Okay, I have a first and a second for the approval of the agreement. Take any questions from the public? Questions from counselors? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take a vote for the approval of the agreement with architectural services with Schmidt Associates. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, approved 5-0. Next is Ordinance 1314. This is an ordinance related to encroachments on Main Street right-of-ways. First reading. Tim?
Good evening, council. As Eileen just mentioned, we are looking at first reading to this evening on this ordinance. This ordinance is really for protections of the town more than anything else. We've had a lot of success on Main Street. We're very supportive of everything going on Main Street. There are more and more businesses that are using our right-of-way, which is not a bad thing by any ways, but we need to control that and make sure everybody's staying within a certain guideline there. So the main purpose of this is really to make sure the town is insured by those groups. So all the restaurants that are using the seating areas, all the signs that go out there, sandwich signs, that is on town right away. So we got to make sure that we're getting an insurance coverage additionally insured, which is not very difficult to do for the businesses, not very costly as well, because they all have insurance anyways. So if they're going to use our right-of-way, we need to make sure that we're covered, because in this day and age, somebody drops a hot plate on themselves or is sitting on their phone and looking down and trips over a sign. They look at whose property that is, and it's unfortunately, well, it's the town. So that was the main driver. And then while we're looking as well, we want to make sure that we spend a lot of money investing in the community, making it look nice. We want to make sure that we're keeping the area looking good. So again, if you're going to use our right-of-way, we encourage that. We hope you do it. Keep it looking nice. This is making sure they're cleaning it up, picking up cigarette butts. If they're dropping food, they're washing off the sidewalk. They're keeping sidewalks open to a certain degree. You know, we keep encroaching a little bit further out, and then the sidewalks aren't wide enough for the traffic that we put them in there for. So this just kind of gives you guidelines. It is a permit that would be required each year. The purpose of that is to have them come in and make sure we get their certificate of insurance to us, to make sure that, you know, again, we're encouraging everyone to keep doing what they're doing. Just don't go too far out, and make sure you're keeping the place clean, making sure all the seating and the umbrellas and everything are looking good, so when people go down Main Street, they have the best impression they could, or they can of Speedway. So that's the intent. I'd be happy to answer any other questions. And again, we have had conversations with, in particular, most of the restaurants that have seating areas on Main Street. So I've gotten some feedback. We've tweaked this several times before we brought it to council to make sure everybody's on board. With that, I'll answer any questions.
President Fisher, I would move that we approve the ordinance 1314 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion for ordinance 1314. This time we'll take public comments. Seeing none, I'll take questions for counselors for ordinance 1314, first reading later.
Tim, you've had conversations with most of the retailers, in particular restaurants.
Correct.
And so they understand the rules of game. And then if they don't abide by that, you may have said this already, but what are the options for us to pursue?
We have the ability, because they are using our right-of-way, we have the ability to remove anything that is not in compliance with what our design is. We've basically kept it, we'd actually like to see a little more permanent fencing that you can then take out, so we're hoping some of them don't have the weight bags and everything else, so those have to get approved. But we have the ability to remove anything that's not in compliance if they don't fall with getting the permit. And again, it's mostly the insurance we're looking for.
I was just going to add that this doesn't add any fees. There's no additional fee for this permit. It really is just an effort to make sure that right-of-way is clear so that you can have pedestrians going through, provide some uniformity to kind of what is being permitted to be out in the right-of-way. And as Tim has mentioned several times, and it is kind of the foundation of this and kind of what started the conversation, was making sure there's some protection for the town and its taxpayers in the event somebody trips or falls or something like that. The town is listed as additional insured. So that's kind of the goal of what we're trying to do here.
But there are fines that can be,
There can
if
be
they're not in
fines.
compliance.
And I should also add, it's not that there's a ton of problems necessarily. We're not having any issues. It's not a combative. We've got to pass this so we can start forcing, business owner A to do something. It's just a matter of kind of opening and making sure that we provide those standards, because a lot of the businesses are investing in making sure that their business looks good on Main Street and their stuff looks good on Main Street. And so we want to make sure that everybody is going to comply and follow in line with that.
Are there, I know we have special events. In fact, we approved a couple of runs this evening, but we have events oftentimes centered around races at the track and so forth. Are there hours of operation that are different than maybe the inside of the building?
I don't think we address times of the year things can be out in the right-of-way, and that's due mainly to snow removal. We don't really address any hours of operations other than what would be on the books already for typical hours of operation.
The reason I'm asking that question is the apartment buildings on the north end are getting ready to be completed. There'll be people moving in there.
In March.
Yes, and so if, I'm assuming you'll give us a report on that later, but obviously, some of those, the closer to residences they are, some of the challenges associated with that. Maybe it's a question for another meeting or in between now and the next meeting, just to get some detail on that.
Okay.
Tim, question?
Mm-hmm.
Who is it determines how much space there is? I mean, there's no certain description of how many feet we're allowed to go in?
Yeah.
Should that be placed in
So
here?
there's two documents, there's the ordinance that kind of outlines this, but if you look in the encroachment application, it actually does, any dining area must leave a minimum 7 feet of sidewalk on Main Street, 5 feet on the sidewalks.
Okay.
That's mainly due to ADA regulations that we need to make sure that we're following as well. And same thing, we don't want any sandwich boards further than 5 feet out from the front of the store as well. The restaurants, you can kind of see the fenced-in area, the sandwich boards just kind of come up on you if you're not paying attention. so.
Should that language be in the ordinance instead of the application?
Well, I think so, because it might change from time to time. You could increase it without having to amend the ordinance.
Okay.
I mean, we certainly can, but if you found out maybe 7 feet, even though that's minimum required by the ADA, isn't quite enough, especially during heavy times of year, you might say we want 8 feet or 9 or something like that, and that way Jacob and Tim can work together and change the details of the application and the permit themselves without having to amend the ordinance.
Okay.
Other questions? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of approving ordinance 1314, an ordinance related to encroachments on Main Street right-of-ways, first reading, say aye.
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 Those opposed? First reading approved 5-0. Next is the approvals of claims and utility adjustments. Monty?
Thank you, Madam President. Before you, I submitted claims for a period from January the 12th until February the 8th. Business as usual, as I say quite frequently, but would approve your approval, please.
Move that we approve the claims. Actually, are we doing both these together? We do them separate, don't we? Yeah, we do them separate. Move that we approve the claims from January 12th to February 8th as presented.
Second.
I have a first and a second on the approvals of the claims. Any comments from the public? Any comments or questions from council? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving the claims presented to us by Clerk Treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved 5-0.
Thank you. I also submitted the adjustments for the utilities for the same period of time, a total of $707.89 for that time from January 12th to February the 8th. And again, would appreciate your approval.
Make a motion that we approve the billing adjustments as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a first and a second for the adjustments. At this time, we'll take public comments. Seeing none, any questions from councilors? Seeing no questions, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving the adjustments from time period presented to us by Clerk Treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Adjustments approved 5-0.
Thank you.
Anything else, Monty?
No.
Go ahead with the reports from the department heads. We'll start with the economic developer, Tim.
All right, good evening again. Just a few updates. Last week's BZA meeting, the Gilman Street project, the Able Motorsports, is building a multi-purpose building, was approved for their variances, so we're looking forward to that. It's on target and still looking to move forward early this spring, so that was good momentum there. Quick update on 2500 High School Road. There's a lot of activity behind the scenes going on right now. A couple prospects that we're working on some due diligence for, as well as tying up the funding agreement and deciding how we're moving forward. The engineers are hard at work, working on all the different infrastructure that needs to be done in approval process as well. So a lot of progress there. We're hoping to start some of the public meetings on that as far as infrastructure and documents that we need and any variances and covenants and restrictions and everything that goes with that real soon here. So we technically have till May 1st to get the purchase agreement signed and the covenants, restrictions, and funding agreement done. I think it'll be much sooner than that. We'll start moving forward. Similar activity on the 1300 block. No agreements have been placed there, but we did get some preliminary numbers late Friday afternoon, so we're starting to look at those to see if we can start negotiate. We had to have a starting point to see if there was a deal to negotiate there, so we're going to be working on that, and hopefully we'll keep making some progress on the 1300 block. We're still waiting on final approval for the environmental cleanup there, which is a little frustrating. The proposal that was submitted through the insurance, Wilcox is working for the insurance, was denied. So there's really two options that the insurance carrier has to decide which one they want to do. Both of them are significantly more expensive. So we're waiting for the decision from the insurance carrier there. As soon as they say go ahead, we will get the environmental cleanup going on 1300 block as well. So beyond that, Wilshaw Apartments are still on target. First, I believe they're still targeting for mid-March to open up. At the same time the apartments open up, the parking lot will open up as well. So there will be a little bit of learning curve there and an adjustment, but everything seems to be on target. We don't see any delays at this point. And then we're still waiting for the initial construction here meeting for the hotel, but we are working through the final bond process there, and we hope to close on our bond the end of February, which should trigger everything moving forward. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Thanks, Tim.
All right, thank you.
Next is Police Chief Jim Campbell.
Good evening. First of all, February 5th, we held our public safety meeting, and that's really in two sections. The first one is kind of the local, state, federal law enforcement folks, address the public safety. We do have fire representatives in that meeting, but we again will be a SEER 2, which commits, federal resources and, continues to pull the group together. We had a briefing from the FBI regarding the Super Bowl, and the thing I found most interesting, one of their major issues, was drones. And more as you see and hear about drones being flown around, and again, it's one that, we're just going to have to deal with and address here, probably more so than we have in the past. And, believe me, there's the technology to deal with that. And so, but that's one of the new things that I think we'll probably have to address. The second meeting is the public meeting, and that's also where police, fire, medical, that's the opportunity for the public to hear from each of those agencies, if they've got questions or issues. Mike Bates spent time, the 103rd running, giving us a breakdown of events, special events, and activities. So, it pretty much summarizes kind of the start of the race event for us and the beginning of what's going to be long-range planning. The other one I'd bring up, on the 25th, we're having a chiefs meeting, which I've told you about in the past, but it's an opportunity, from Carmel to Greenwood, Lawrence to Brownsburg, the chiefs around this area meet. And surprisingly, everybody's got this, pretty much the same issues, pretty much the same concerns. But, we spend a lot of time going over agenda items that, I think benefit all of us in the long run, by being able to talk about, well, what are you doing, or how's that working for you? So, and then lastly, we gave a written exam Sunday, for our vacancy at the police department. It was successful. The only comment I'd make is the number of applicants, whether it's here or any other agency, is down tremendously, from what we used to have as applicants. And, I'm kind of hoping that swings back up here in the future, but, it's just harder to get, large numbers of applicants, and, the IMPD will hire 150 people, Fishers or somebody maybe 8. So you're competing in the same pool, if you will, and makes it kind of tough. And again, I don't have any doubt that we will get, in this case, 1 out of the number we got, but it's just getting more and more difficult to do. So that's what I got.
Questions?
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Chief. Next is Fire Chief Bob Fishburne.
I'll try. Good evening. Wanted to piggyback on
Chief Campbell. We are a part of the smaller group for fire and EMS planning meeting. I went to that. A few changes for this year's race is through emergency management mesh. We're going to actually be able to have another infield medical center that'll be a temporary structure. They would still treat serious people at the infield hospital, but obviously, any drivers and things like that might get treated there and sent out. But this is a full surgical, staffed by fellows from IU, which is going to be new for us. And there's just a lot of logistical things that are going to go on because of that. Obviously, you're putting up a building for most of the month of May that then will be staffed. But it's really going to help because of the growth of the concerts and the third turn and all of the things that come along with that. So they're setting up supply units at both the north and south end, which all come from those public safety meetings, after actions where we talk about what we had trouble with, getting ice and water to different places. And so they're really beefing up the logistics side of that, and we were just a part of that. So just to piggyback on what Chief said. As far as departmentally, we had our annual blood draws last week. They'll do a couple weeks of lab work, and then starting on the 18th, we will have all of our annual physicals. All 35 guys go through an annual physical. They have to do that for their breathing apparatus and their self-contained, Scott packs. So they've Public Safety Medical's no longer downtown. They've moved to another facility. Ascension bought Public Safety Medical, and so they're partnering with that, which really kind of gives you some new services. But it's great for our guys, for all of our guys 40 and over. This year, we had money from last year's budget that we didn't use, so instead of asking for more money, we want to use about $700 of that for our guys that are 40 and over to have a PSA blood work done for early cancer detection and all of those things. Really, really a big issue in public or in firefighting. So we didn't have to ask for additional funds, but just wanted to kind of let you know that. Other than that, we're in the same process. We are going to be doing a hiring list, and we'll be getting our applications out. Monty's office always helps us with that, and we very much appreciate it because the town hall is open all day. There's always someone there, so that's kind of how we do our applications for turning in and passing out. So if you don't have any other questions, that's really all. Okay,
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Next, Public Works Director, Wendell Walters.
Good evening, Council. Some updates on your departments. We'll start off with the street department. Our 2019 projects, we're going to get out to bid starting February 14th. Bring that information back to you March 11th with the engineering review and everything beforehand. So that'll be coming back to you in March. Our community crossing grant, we made application. It's been submitted. We should be notified late March, 1st of April on that, and that's the grant we put in for $430,000 to complement our investment in the 2019 projects. We have a meeting we're trying to set into this week and next week, working with Indy DPW on their schedule and construction on the Carsville Road and 16th Street repaving. A lot of work going on out there. So we'll share that back with you in March 2 of their schedule, timeframes, everything that's going to be happening out through that corridor.
Sorry, Wendell, where is that again, please?
Basically, it's going to start at Cunningham and then run up to the roundabout, and then from the
thank you.
roundabout on 16th to, I think it's all the way to Lafayette Road.
Thank you.
So we'll have a joint meeting with them to make sure the things we sent back have been identified in that project and get their schedules too. Just on the street department side, just some quick information. This last month, we've had a mixture of weather, salt, rain, a little bit of everything. So just some quick numbers. We got 814 man hours invested, 300 tons of salt, 30 bags of ice melt. And Just want to compliment that crew. They go from snow removal to pothole patching to chasing down stopped up storm drains, everything else. So they're out there working constantly. They were out today trying to get some things caught up, and then the rain comes again. So we are out there working, but if you do see a pothole, please report it to us, 246-4141, and we'll get that on our list and get worked around to them. So just real quick on your street department, like I said, it's been a busy month with this different weather we've had come in and out, and looks like it's going to continue. But spring's around the corner. Somebody's talking track business, so. On your water department, we've got all the wells are going through a maintenance check and cleaning as needed. We are going to do two to four exploratory wells in Meadowwood Park. We've been working with our engineering service, Westler and Bass and Logan. So that we should get their schedule in the next couple of weeks, and this is exploratory to see if we can produce some wells up through there. And then after that, it'll become a project once we get that information and get water quality, all that good information we need beforehand. So that's all in works. Plant maintenance is ongoing. Surface water will be coming online in April. So there's a lot of prep work that happens beforehand. And then we had a broken main up on 6100 Meadowwood Saturday, 17 degrees, 9 o'clock in the morning. So I want to compliment that crew for moving out and getting it done. I think it was 3.5 hours. They had it repaired and everything back in service. So the winter months gets tough on our crews at times, but people step up and we get the work done. So can't compliment them enough. Our lighting project on the SRF program at the plant should be completed by Wednesday. They got a few lights, brackets they had to back order, so they should be in and get installed. We're working on our SCADA system at the plant. This is another SRF funded project, and hopefully we got, by end of month, looking at the engineer back here, we'll get that information and get that out for bids. Then on your wastewater department, we finally got engineering report back on the fine screens. So that is getting ready to go out for bid. That'll go out this month and it'll be brought back to your approval in March. The phosphorus removal program, permit application has been submitted. It's ongoing. It had to be done this month, so hopefully we get that permit and that project move forward there too. Also at the wastewater plant, looking at the SCADA upgrade. These are systems that monitor the tanks, everything else that goes on within the plant, reports back to the offices. Ongoing maintenance at the wastewater plant also. Guys are working down there hard during the cold events. We had some freezing problems, issues down there, so they responded to it, got things unfrozen, kept everything moving. So then with all the wetness, the weather we've had, the snow, the meltdown, the rains and everything, of course, we've had a CSO. Our first discharge, we had to release 464,000 gallons. I haven't got a report this week with the meltdown and the rain that we're getting now, but we'll keep you informed on that too. So a lot of different items going on in all the departments and stuff. So that will catch us up real quick. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody, because last month I missed the wastewater report and that supervisor called me.
Quick comment, Wendell.
Yes, sir.
The new traffic pattern at Crawfordsville and High School Road, where the turn lane is now straight or turn.
Yes.
Is there any plan, or can a phone call be made to have them reevaluate that? I don't believe it works. I think it's made traffic worse. And I know that's on the city, correct? That was not us that went out and did that. Can they be contacted, maybe come back out and take a look? I don't think they'll change it, but to me, it hasn't fixed the problem that was there. It's made it worse. So the the turn lane, that's a turn lane and a straight lane now, backs up forever. So if that's something they,
To northbound high school?
Yes.
Okay.
thank you.
And then I got your message. I've made the phone call down, but our meeting on the pre-construction, we'll have a discussion on that other turn lane out there.
Yeah, just to clarify, we were talking about going west on Crawfordsville and the turn lane south into Get-Go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's really short light, and a lot of people are running that light, and it's particularly dangerous because if they run the light, they're almost going straight into oncoming traffic. So I had sent a note to Wendell just asking his thoughts on that.
And we'll talk with that. And me and Jacob worked with the city a number of months ago, and we made adjustments out there. And the timing of moving all those traffic and all those lanes, it gets real tight to adjust 3 seconds or 5 seconds. So I think what they told us, we're at our max, but we can go back and revisit it, have them look at it again, and see if we can make the adjustments. And what Jason was talking about, the turn lane going into the Marketplace Plaza, is what I've seen out there myself is the people pull too far forward of the stop bar. The light will not cycle because the indicator, they're always at the stop bar or behind the stop bar. So if they get too far forward, it won't activate the system. So that's information, any place in town that we have stop signals like that, the indicators are always behind the stop bars, so if you pull ahead of that, it won't trip them. But we'll,
When you say stop bar, you mean the white, the big picture?
yes, the big 2-foot bar.
Yeah, Wendell, so I would agree with Jason's comment. I think when the hotel opens, the courtyard there, it'll exacerbate that issue. But the question I had was, with all the rain we've had, snow melt and all of that,
Uh-huh.
the stormwater work we did up in the field 2C or whatever it's called today.
Dry run diversion.
Right, yes, yes, sir. How is that working? How's the neighborhood? I know, obviously, there's still debris in the gutters and those kind of things. I saw your staff doing a it's job trying to get leaves out of the way, but how are
From-
things working?
From what I'm seeing and the phone calls I'm not getting, it's working well. It's staying within the channel that we developed for that to happen. We do have standing water in that neighborhood, but that's low-lying areas on properties. We haven't had any street flooding, no reports of basements or any problems like that. So it is working the way it was designed and we want it to work. And
Great.
with our crews moving out and start checking and keep an eye on things, that helps out too. Plus our neighbors, you'll see a lot of our neighbors out cleaning the store drains off before events and stuff. So that's an asset to us too, that everybody's helping each other, so.
Anything else? Thanks, Wendell.
Thank you.
Next, Parks and Rec, Tammy?
Good evening. I wanted to give a report on the Winter Wonderland Prince and Princess Ball from a week ago. It was very successful. I had about 70 people there, and I had about 16 teenage volunteers from the high school. They were wonderful. They helped serve. They helped direct people to their tables. I had some dressed up in character and engaged with the kids, and everybody seemed to have a really good time. And one of the biggest comments I've had afterwards is, are you going to do this again? Are you going to do this annually? And people seemed real excited about it, so I'm pleased about that. And then the other thing, our basketball winter league just ended Saturday, and I just wanted to thank again all the volunteers, because that program could not work without the parent volunteers that step up and coach it and run it. Just like so many other programs we have here, we rely on our volunteers heavily, and I really appreciate all of them. And that's all I have today.
Okay. Thanks, Tammy.
Okay, thanks.
Next is report from Town Manager. Jacob?
Yep, thank you, Madam President. Just a quick PSA, if your winter plans involve winter sports, just take it easy out there, especially if they involve strapping wax sticks to your feet and pointing them down a mountain. Just be careful. That's learn the hard way, yeah. More related to the town, 16th Street Water Tower, what we also like to call Racing Capital of the World Water Tower. We'll have some drones around it sometime this week, probably tomorrow morning, just doing some inspection work, so we're aware. Chief Campbell, please don't shoot it out of the sky, if you don't mind. All right, thank you. Exactly, yep. And then the only other thing I have is just a reminder that we have State of the Town, Tuesday, February 19th at 6:30 at 5300 Crawfordsville Road, future site of our town hall. And I hope to see a lot of people there. I hope to be there. Have a little medical procedure this week, so hopefully I'm feeling up for it, and I hope to see everybody there on the 19th. That's it. Thank you.
Next is a report from Town Attorney, Bob Click.
I have no report this evening.
Okay. All right, we'll move to the counselors in. I will start with Counselor David Lindsay.
Nothing to report this evening.
Thank you, David. Jason Doyle.
Nothing for me.
Counselor Jeff Matthews.
I have nothing.
Counselor Gary Rakes.
Just a quick thank you to all of our town employees, as we've had numerous weather events, just the way they've responded, everything from the street department to other public works, our public safety. I saw a police officer helping someone get pushed out of a snow situation, and I saw firefighters doing something similar, so it doesn't have to be the typical snowplow operator. Our town does a great job of taking care of our residents and visitors, so thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Last is my report, and tonight I just want to give our public an update on an ongoing issue that we've all been working on here. In December of 2015, our clerk treasurer uncovered a questionable invoice and financial irregularities by the actions of a past executive director of our redevelopment commission, Scott Harris. Upon locating these items, the Indiana State Board of Accounts was contacted and an investigation was opened. In September of 2017, the State Board of Accounts released a report of their audit of the SRC's finances. The results of that report were then turned over to the Marion County Prosecutor's Office. This past Friday, February 8th, Scott Harris was charged with one felony of counterfeiting. The prosecutor's office and Mr. Harris have agreed to a plea agreement with the court hearing scheduled for March of 2019. And we are encouraged that the town of Speedway's internal controls identified the financial irregularities and have implemented additional controls to prevent financial misconduct in a policy that was adopted in 2016 and is in compliance with the SBOA guidelines. The town takes these types of actions very seriously and expect and demands legal and ethical conducts from anyone acting on town's behalf to protect the stakeholders and the taxpayers of the town. With that, I adjourn the meeting at 8:50.